Muskrats can be found across most of North America, and they have been introduced into South America, northern areas of Asia, and parts of Europe. And in Europe, they are considered an invasive species in some areas. The name muskrat is thought to come from an Algonquin word, muskaskus, which literally means it is red, or possibly from the Abenaki word moskwas, which is plausible because of the archaic English name for the animal, musquash. In the Anishinaabe language, it is washashk. Like their name implies, muskrats have a musky odor, which led to the common name in use, as well as their general rat-like appearance. Adult muskrats can measure anywhere between 40 and 70 centimeters, or 16 to 28 inches long, and weigh from 0.6 kgs up to 2 kgs, which is about 1.3 to 4.4 pounds. This is 4 times heavier than the weight of a brown rat, but much smaller than a beaver. Their tails are flattened vertically to aid in swimming and are covered in scales instead of hair. I felt lucky to see this pair enjoying their lunch on the creek. As we watched, the muskrats would head up onto the bank to collect grasses and then bring them down to the relative safety of the water to dine on. Despite their tail, I think they're pretty cute, especially with those little paws with the surprisingly long claws. It looks like he's paused to listen to his surroundings. As I mentioned in my previous video, the muskrat will dig out the roots of aquatic plants like cattails, as well as the giant burr reed. So, like the beaver, they do modify their environment somewhat. Muskrats, like the beaver, were hunted in previous times for their fur, especially once the larger beavers became scarce. Fortunately for them, the fur trade has died off, and the muskrats are quite common again. They are also an important food source for various carnivores of North America, including the coyote that we saw earlier. However, mink and raccoons seem to be their primary predators, but even large fish can take down baby muskrats. Despite being preyed on, muskrats aren't completely defenseless. They have sharp front teeth, like beavers, and will defend themselves. They also will consume meat sources, like many animals which are perceived as herbivores, either when the opportunity arises or in times of hardship. Muskrats have been known to eat mussels, fish, crayfish, and amphibians. Muskrats swim very well, and it was fascinating watching him swim between the rocks using a combination of his tail and hind feet. They are also adapted for diving and slow carbon dioxide buildup in the body by slowing their heart rate and relaxing their muscles. They are also able to store extra oxygen in their muscles and are less sensitive to high carbon dioxide levels in the blood. Basically, they're very well adapted for diving. This one was pretty cute, how he was able to float and keep eating. I'm assuming these two are mates. Muskrats don't mate for life, and in areas with many muskrats around, they can be polyandrous, that is, having multiple mates. They also can have a few litters per season. The male might also leave, caring for the young, to the female. As an Anishinaabe person, muskrats feature in some traditional stories, including being the hero of a creation story. So I really have an affection for these small rodents. In the near future, I plan to upload a reading of that story onto our Patreon account. I also plan to read some other stories. Both muskrats suddenly dove back into the water. It wasn't long before they decided that the coast was clear and resumed their lunch.
Some sort of duck. Wow, it's flying so low and so fast. I don't blame them. It's like a jet engine.
Yes, a jet engine duck. One can never be too careful.
Oh, there's the burrow.
This lump of mud and vegetation is the entrance to their burrow. In marshes, they build what are called push-ups, or piles of mud and vegetation, which act as a food source for them in winter, as well as for other animals. The other muskrat came back out after a short while. We continued on our walk, and when we came back through, the muskrats were gone. The only evidence was the remains of their lunch still floating around on the creek. As always, Chimigwech, or a big thank you for watching.